And now, from the Room 111 studios, it's Hacking Engagement with James Sternovich.
Hey there, listener. Welcome back to the Hacking Engagement Podcast. I want to welcome myself back from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Great week with the lovely Mrs. Sturdivant, but it's good to be back and talking to you. Hey, here's something that I promote a lot. It's this idea that you need to listen to your students, that they'll give you great feedback on how to become a better teacher. And that's a big dynamic in this episode. Something else that I try to do as a podcaster and an author is to listen to my audience, listen to my readers, and try to adjust. One criticism that I've got is that a lot of the stuff we talk about on this podcast seems to be geared more toward older kids. And I'd like to think that everything that I've talked about could be applied to the K-12 classroom all the way up to graduate school. As a matter of fact, I've had some elementary teachers say that. But I think I need some younger voices. And that's what this episode is all about. I have a couple 12-year-olds from the great city of Oklahoma City out in the Great Plains, Jordan Flowers and Conner Odom. They go to Mayfield Middle School out there in OKC, and they're on today's program with their teacher, Jon Belt. Love Jon Belt. Jon Belt is an amazing teacher, fellow podcaster. I'll have a link on my show notes to the Teacher Tunnel podcast. And Jon's putting together this classroom activity called Reads, which introduced structure and movement into his classroom. So we're going to talk about the activity, number one, and then we're going to listen to Jordan and Conner evaluate the activity. And what's beautiful is Jon Belt is like a dry sponge. He is taking these kids' suggestions, and I guarantee he's going to apply them the next time he utilizes this activity. I mean, buckle up, man. You're going to love this episode. Hey, so get this, listener. My publisher contacts me and says, I love the way Hacking Engagement is selling. How about doing 50 more? I was all over it like a cheap suit. So the name of the book is Hacking Engagement Again, 50 Teacher Tools That Will Make Students Love Your Class. And it's going to be available on Amazon's virtual shelves in the late summer of 2017. In the meantime, if you're looking for more teacher empowerment resources, as always, visit hacklearning.org. Now let's get back to the solutions part of the Hacking Engagement Podcast. Well, the Room 111 studios is going to take a trip out west, and we're going to go halfway across the United States, starting in Ohio, ending in California, and we're going to set up shop in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And I'm going to be talking to three fine gentlemen today. One of them's an adult, and two of them are in 6th grade. The adult is named Jon Belt, who has a wonderful podcast. We're podcasting buddies called the Teacher Tunnel Podcast. Say hello, Mr. Belt.
Hello.
And then we have Jordan Flowers, who's a 6th grader. And Jordan, can you say hello for me, my man?
Yo.
I got more than I bargained for. And then I got Conner Odom. Conner's also a 6th grader.
Hello.
Hey, good job, Conner. You beat me to the punch. Now, fellas, what's the name of your school?
Mayfield.
Mayfield Intermediate?
Mayfield Middle School.
Mayfield Middle School. Very good, man. So you guys will be at this school next year, right?
Yeah. Yes.
All right, beautiful. Now, I do this to people all the time, and I know it's annoying, but I think it helps bond you to my audience. I want you, Jordan and Conner, to envision this. Let's say it's 18 years down the road, and you're having your 30th birthday party, and all of a sudden, Mr. Belt and myself, James Sturdivant, we show up at your front door. Where's that house going to be?
Miami, Florida.
Okay, now that sounded to me like that was Jordan, right?
Yes.
Okay, Miami, Florida. Why is that, sir?
Because, the ocean, the waves, pretty good for a honeymoon,
So, I take it on your 30th birthday you just got married.
Yes, apparently, yeah, sure.
Very good, man. So, Miami, Florida, that sounds nice. How about Connor.
I think kind of a little bit east, but not right against the coast. I haven't figured that out yet.
Haven't decided which state you want to live in yet?
Nope.
Okay, and then either one of you, tell me what you're doing for a living.
I'm going to be a realtor.
Oh, wow. Beautiful. Well, Florida's a good place to go for that. And then, Connor, what you doing?
I'd probably be either a blacksmith or a game designer.
Okay, that is really opposite sides of the technology spectrum there.
I know.
Okay, so when are you going to make that decision? Is that going to be a coin toss, or what's going to go on there?
Probably whichever one I'm into more at the time.
Very good. I have never had a young person in all years of education said that.
I think Jordan's kind of on the same lines too. He's really interested in making swords.
Wow. Okay. Well, you guys are going to be survivors. I can tell that right now.
Yep, swords. I've literally almost figured out how to make a lightsaber. No lie.
Well, I got one the other day at Toys R Us for my nephew, and it's pretty neat. All right, Mr. Belt.
Yes.
We're not in here to talk about lightsabers or horseshoes, although that does sound interesting. We're here to talk about this unique tool or program that you and your fellow teachers employ at your school. It's called READS, R-E-A-D-S, the READS method. What are we talking about here?
So really when it started, I went to a daily 5, which is used in elementary schools. It's basically like centers with listening and reading and things like that. But our math department started this center called Math, and it stood for Media, ACES, which is games, T for teacher, and the H was for a hashtag. So kind of they came up with their own little.
I bet they had a hard time figuring out something for H. I bet that hit them like a bolt of lightning.
Yes, it did. So yeah, the hashtag was a fun thing for them because it's just anything and everything. So they actually started that in the beginning of the year, and we wanted to implement it, but we didn't really know how because math is a little more is a little easier to implement. Centers, whereas reading, there's a lot of reading and comprehension involved. But so READS basically is centers, and there's about six stations, and the R stands for review, and the review is basically whatever we're working on, whatever skill we're working on that week. It could be main idea, genre. We're basically reviewing those skills as well as doing some read alouds. So they're either reading out loud to me, and that way I can kind of see where they're at on the decoding aspects of things, because we do have a pretty big EL population here. And then the E is ears, and basically it's just a listening station where I did a lot of the audio. I did a lot of the audio for, and I would put in, questions, and they'd have to write down the answers as they're listening, just to keep them engaged, so they're not just kind of dazing off.
Yeah.
And then we have the A. The A was activity. It was kind of manipulatives, so inferencing, just little things that kind of get them get their minds working a little bit. And then the D is digital. We do have a class set of iPads, so they all had iPads in these listening stations, and then the digital station. The digital station could have been a video or just an example or PowerPoint, just something to where they're engaged as far as the digital aspects of things, and maybe writing notes down on a certain skill. And then the S is silent, and the silent station is where they're getting nonfiction text, and they're reading silently and having a reading response to go along with that.
So I count 5 stations. And roughly 25 kids, 5 at a station, correct?
Right.
And
right. And there's some days.
Now let me ask you this: do they have to go in a certain order, or can they really start anywhere?
You can really start anywhere. They don't have to go. Yeah.
So this is kind of a thing where you have groups of 5, and they move together, right?
Right. They move together. So we do about. It just depends on how long the station is, but it's about 10 to 15 minutes, and then they rotate.
Excellent.
And it usually lasts. We started on Wednesday, and it went till till that Friday, and then we tested usually on Fridays. So
very good, very good.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this: what impact have you witnessed in terms of student learning with the READS program?
So we started late. So we didn't get a ton of implementation in. I know the math side of things, they started in the beginning and they saw a lot of progress. What I saw was engagement, just knowing that these kids are listening to audio, that they're reading silently and answering comprehension questions over that. And then they're not just, it's not like a whole group atmosphere where, maybe 10 out of 25 kids are engaged, whereas the other 15 are kind of in a daze. But so it definitely helped them see different things. And there's some stations that might have been a little boring, but it helped them as far as getting their reading in, their listening skills in, and all those things that are definitely essential with comprehension.
How'd you divide up the kids?
That really wasn't anything that was strategic.
Sure.
The only strategic, what we have in our school is we have an EL, basically my team had all the English language learner students. And so usually I would pair them up together. And luckily this year we had our 8th grade aides in my first hour, which had most of my EL kids. And those aides were fluent in Spanish and English. So that really helped as far as getting them going and having them read out loud, and they really helped in that aspect too.
Great. Now, that sounds good, and that sounds like a pretty structured class with lots of movement, which oftentimes those two things don't go together. So the kids are moving, but yet there's structure. I bet movement's pretty darn important for 12-year-olds.
100%, yes.
Okay, guys, you heard your fearless leader talk. Now it's your turn. Tell me what the READS program's like from the student vantage point.
Okay. So I experienced READS as just a basic standard for school, because every single time in in elementary school all the way up to here, I've been through something that's similar to this. But this was something different. It was something more unique in the way that it was more interactive to a point, because usually in elementary school we just had our own iPads, it's that. But this time the iPads were used for something other than just games and free time. So it was more unique in that way than, say, I don't know, you just move from center to center doing a different part of a game to set up a project or something. This was more of actually helping you learn, study for the test that was ultimately going to lead to a bigger test in the future.
Did you find that the period went pretty fast?
Some days, yes, some days not.
So when you got stuck on one of the slower stations, it drug a little. What was your favorite station?
Favorite ones? I would probably say the silent stage, because then it gives me some time to read some books. Most of the time you don't get time to read. Like if you check out a book, most of the time you would get time to read it. So silent stage is my favorite because it gives you time to read. Just reading.
Okay. Next up, go, young man. What was your experience?
It really helped me because up to a point, it would help me remember and would get me better grades in this class.
This is Connor, right?
Yeah, this is Connor.
I'm going to ask you a really hard question. If you want to take a second to think about it, that's fine. Why do you think it helped you? Why you said it helped me. Why do you think that was the case?
Because we kept practicing it over and over and over again until we finally got it down, and everybody got it down. So we moved to we moved to a next set of skills. Yeah.
Now, did you feel did you help any of your peers throughout this process?
Sometimes. Did
any of your peers help you?
Yes.
Can you give me an example?
Sometimes I wouldn't understand a question because I group different words together, because that's how my brain kind of works. It's a little bit different. I don't know. And they would read out the question, and it would really help me understand, because I would try to read it really clunky, but they would just all smooth.
So in other words, you're sitting there and you're confused over a prompt, and then one of your classmates gives you a different perspective, and you got it.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Now, Jordan, you seem pretty outgoing to me. Did you give more help or receive more help?
I mostly gave help because I am known to be really good at reading to my teachers.
Yeah.
So most of the time when a student doesn't understand something, I can point it out to them, and then that's when their mind starts working. They're just like, oh, so that's how that works.
Now, and so then when you got in the silent part, that really freed you up to really do your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Amen, brother. That's something. Okay. That makes sense. Now, a pro and a con. I don't care who goes first, Jordan or Connor. I don't care if you have one of each or just one, but can you think of a plus and a negative, I should say, to this style of learning?
Okay, so one negative, that I think is we're in a pre-AP class, and we learn the same exact stuff
right.
that the people in non-pre-AP learn.
So you would like maybe a little more challenging reading material.
That would have helped me a lot more if it was more challenging.
Okay.
Because I was able to just breeze through most of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that seems like something that could be pretty easily adjusted.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's an outstanding observation. How about Jordan?
A con for me would be it's kind of repetitive in the sense that sometimes, like when some kids don't get it, we kind of have to do the same thing again to an extent, because sometimes the teacher like cut down on it, like half it, so so the kids already done it before, they can get like something different but still on the same topic, and the kids who didn't get it can just get the same worksheet to try again with the teacher's help. But in that way, it gets kind of repetitive over time.
It sounds like you guys really like this process. You'd like it tinkered with just a little bit in terms of personalizing some of the activities in the reading material.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, give me a plus.
A plus would be they basically let us pick our groups. When he said it wasn't really anything strategic, kind of work with our friends, and that kind of, gave us like someone that we could actually ask. Because like if you're just with a total stranger, like, you don't know whether to ask them. Like you don't know them, you don't know if it's gonna hurt your reputation at school or anything. So when you're with your friends, like that's just your group. It's just feels more. Let you free up.
It's your academic posse. Okay, so this goes to all three of you. I love this concept. I love the structure of it. I love how everybody. It's like a symphony orchestra. So at this point, give a piece of advice to a teacher who wants to try something like this tomorrow.
My advice would be just do it, and don't think it has to be this perfect thing. And I think that's what kind of held us up in the beginning of the year.
Right.
We didn't start it like we should have, and whenever we came up with the realization of like, let's just try it, and it's going to be ugly, and it's going to need some tweaking, but after the first couple weeks, it started kind of flowing a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And so my advice to the teachers is just try it. I think that's probably the best advice I can give.
And Mr. Bell, you've only been doing this for a few months, right?
Yeah, we started in December.
Okay.
And we did end of December. Well, yeah, end of December, and then we kind of, I think we did our last station after spring break, which is in March, and then we had testing. So that kind of put us on hiatus for the centers.
And when you hear these young guys talking about some things they'd like to see, those are not tough adjustments to make.
No, not at all. I definitely agree with Connor as far as the personalized learning. I that could definitely be adjusted in it would take a lot of time, but it would definitely be beneficial for them.
Hey, does that sound good, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys got any advice for a teacher that wants to try this tomorrow?
Yes, I do. Basically, just like you said, just do it. If there's anything like you need to tweak, just tweak it. But also, you should probably most likely listen to your students because they might give you great ideas on what to do like next to like help other students out in the learning because who knows students better than students, am I right?
You're right, Jordan. That's why you're on here right now. Hey, I'll tell you what, that's just beautiful. That's beautiful. Connor, you got anything for us here as we wrap up?
I've been really thinking about this, but if this is your first time trying something, don't be afraid to like make adjustments throughout it because not everything is perfect. And if you want things to get closer to perfection, then you have to start working on it right away.
That's beautiful. I love that. So just take a step, man. Just get out there and give it a try. I love that. Hey, you guys have been fantastic. I have to get back here and talk to my men from Oklahoma City again sometime. This is beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having us on. It was really fun. We've been looking forward to it for a while. So.
Well, good, man. You did great. And make sure that you share this with your friends and your principal.
Will do. 100%.
Okay. Goodbye, guys.
All right.
Bye.
See you,
Bye.
James.
So here we are at the What You Can Do Tomorrow section. Hey, come on over to my show notes. Aren't you dying to know what Jordan and Connor look like? So come on over and take a look. They're really good-looking young men. Now, when it comes to this episode, I think the first thing that you need to do is take tomorrow's lesson and see if you can break it down into tasks that you want your kids to perform. And, whatever the number is, if it's 2 or 3, great. If it's 7 or 8, that's fine too. But decide what is the number of tasks you want the kids to do. Then break your kids up into groups. And I want to tell you something, that's entirely up to you how you do it. It could be on ability level or social level or work ethic level or seriousness level. You divide your kids however you want. And then you want to set up stations around your room based on these tasks. Now, if you only have a couple tasks, you can make some identical stations. I mean, you could make a couple stations for task number 2, a couple stations for task number 1. But you don't want your groups to get too big and unwieldy. I think it's important that you set a time limit. In other words, if the kids are going to be working on a task for 10 minutes, that's fine. Make sure that that's understood up front, and don't get uptight, because I do this sometimes. Don't get uptight if a couple of your kids get done early and they're just sitting there shooting the breeze. That's okay. That's what people do in life. It doesn't reflect badly on you. Okay, when your kids are working, you circulate around and interact, observe, listen, prompt. Use that time to evaluate your tasks and maybe how you could do it better in the future. Which leads to my next point. The final thing that you want to do tomorrow is to allow student feedback. Let them critique the activity. Let them critique the lesson. By doing this, you can make it better in the future. Hey, good luck tomorrow engaging your students.
Show notes for this episode can be found at jamesallensturnevant.com. If you enjoy Hacking Engagement, please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes.